All right, folks, welcome back from the break. Now we're going to get into how to obtain access to the EIV system. Very simplistic process. In essence, the Housing Authority Executive Director and/or other designated officials are going to determine who needs to have access to EIV and actually authorize these individuals to have access to EIV and complete the HUD Form 52676. Now, I do want to let you know that the HUD Form 52676 right now is a paper form. However, we're going to make this totally automated effective spring 2012. And basically, your EIV access right now, for the most part, is electronic with the exception of this HUD Form 52676. So all of the text on that form is going to be embedded into EIV. And so once a user's access is actually set up and approved, when they go to log on to EIV, just like you all are doing now, you're clicking a certification box, confirming to the rules of behavior and so forth and so forth. That process will be automated with the spring 2012. So I did want to share that with you. That's something coming. So that form is going to be embedded, the content of the form is going to be embedded into the actual EIV system, because keep in mind, your user ID is linked to your name, and also your PHA assignment is done in the WAS system. I hate saying WAS system because we have all these AS systems at HUD, and so I'm so glad EIV is not one of those AS systems, but you know, we've got NAS, TAS, PAS, WAS, EIV. Notice that EIV is first on the list on the HUD secure systems. You know why? Because EIV is number one. Okay. So one thing I want to remind folks, as I mentioned earlier, reading is fundamental, okay? And when you're trying to decide what roles an EIV user should have, I want you to pay special attention to the EIV Form 52676 form, to the instructions, because the instructions outlines the various roles within EIV and outlines what activities that user will be able to do with that assigned role. Now, I do want to make mention that PIH-RHIIP management agents can have access to EIV as authorized by you, the housing authority, not by the PIH-RHIIP agent. And those individuals, they too are held accountable just as you are, with respect to implementing the various administrative, physical, and technical safeguards to protect the EIV information. HUD staff are not required to complete the 52676 form. As of right now, for the paper forms of the HUD Form 52676, those forms should be submitted to the EIV coordinator in your local HUD office, either by mail, snail mail, email, or fax, okay? Your HUD field office approves all of your EIV access requests, okay? Basically, when the EIV user administrator goes into EIV and assigns the applicable roles for a user, that generates a pending access request for the HUD field office to approve. So the user administrator, while they have the ability to assign the role, the actual approval is done by the HUD field office, and the HUD field office will approve that role once they've confirmed that you have signed the applicable 52676 form. When we go to a totally automated process, there will be no form, and the field office basically will log into EIV and approve or deny all of the pending access requests. And do keep in mind that your EIV access is linked to your security infrastructure within PIC. And so that means that if in PIC you have access to Housing Authority Code CA001, that's what you will have access to in PIC. And you must be active in PIC in order to be seen by EIV as an authorized user. Now, do understand that guest PIC users cannot have access to EIV. One of the concerns that I get all the time is they say, hey, this person has PIC access. Why can't I see them in EIV? Why can't I grant them EIV access? EIV does not accept PIC guest users. the user has to be classified as an HA user in PIC in order for that user to be displayed in EIV. EIV copies the PIC information every night. So for example, if you have a new user that you sign up in PIC or get their access situated in PIC, you will not be able to see that user in EIV at this moment because EIV copies the PIC information nightly. So you will be able to see that person the following day. Now typically EIV starts copying PIC data around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you grant somebody, if you're on the West Coast and you're assigning access at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's not going to be the following day, it's going to be the following day after that because we typically start copying files at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once your field office has approved the PHA user administrator, because let's say you're a brand new housing authority and you are going to be the designated user administrator. Once the HUD office has approved your access, you then have the ability to assign roles to other users and do the user certification process and all that good stuff. And you can basically, as I mentioned, create EIV access requests for additional staff by checking on the applicable checkboxes. And I'm going to show you in just a minute in the user administration by users function within EIV. When you check those checkboxes and then click on the update button, the system will then show the status of that user as pending. Okay? If you have a user that's going to be a public housing user, you must ensure that once the access is approved, that you also assign the public housing projects or AMPs, asset management project numbers, to that user, because if you do not, when the user tries to access public housing tenant information, they're going to get an error message saying that you are not authorized to view that information. Okay, so for public housing users, they must be assigned the project codes to the user ID by clicking on the pencil. Now what I want to do is go through the various EIV user roles. The first one being the PHA occupancy public housing role. This role is the ability for an individual to access the debts owed to PHAs and termination reports, search for former tenant information, also view tenant income information, as well as the various verification reports for public housing tenants only, and for those public housing tenants that are assigned within the assigned projects assigned to that user ID. So if you only have projects 1, 2, and 3 assigned to your user ID, you will only be able to see public housing information for those assigned projects. Anything outside of the portfolio that you're assigned, you will get an error message saying you're not authorized to view that information. On the other hand, your PHA occupancy voucher program, same roles, however, it's specific to all Section 8 tenants within your portfolio. Your PHA occupancy application processor role is a limited role. This individual is not authorized to view any tenant income information. This individual is authorized to access the debts owed to PHAs and termination report, as well as the multiple subsidy report, the existing tenant search, and the former tenant search. That's it. Folks, please stop checking check boxes within EIV user administration. Okay, you're confusing the system. If you tell the system you want the application processor role, you're telling the system, I want my access to be restricted, limited to this little bit. And then if you turn around and click the PHA occupancy voucher role, that says I'm supposed to look at everything. Okay, now I'm going to try and modify the system so you can't check boxes you have no business checking, but I haven't gotten there yet. But a lot of times I'm finding that people are having access problems because they have assigned themselves the application processor role along with the PHA occupancy voucher or public housing role. Okay? This is a limited role. We created this role because there were housing authorities that said we want our people who process public housing and Section 8 applications to be able to screen these folks to see if they're a former tenant, see if they're an existing tenant, see if they owe a debt to an individual, see if they're receiving assistance across multiple HUD programs. And so we created this limited role for that purpose and that purpose only. Okay, your program administrator public housing role. This is a role that allows for an individual to review, enter, update, or delete debts owed to PHAs and adverse information within the debts owed module, as well as accessing the debts owed to PHAs and termination report and executing the search for former tenant search for the public housing program. Your program administrator for the voucher program is the same functions, but for the voucher program, okay? Again, the ability to enter, review, delete debts owed and adverse information, search for former tenants, and so forth. Your PHA user administrator basically is just that. A user administrator is the one that has the ability to assign roles to an individual, modify access by removing assigned roles, certifying users, terminating EIV access, as well as viewing user role histories and user certification reports. Your PHA security administrator is your security cop, okay? That's the person who's looking to see if, Luigi is looking at EIV information at 2 o'clock in the morning when the office hours are only 8 to 4, okay? This is the person who is allowed to monitor staff access to the EIV system by viewing various EIV audit reports, such as your user session and activity reports, as well as your tenant data access. Please understand, anytime you access tenant data, you're leaving a paw print. And what I mean by that is if you access Peggy Sue's information, it will show the date and the time that you access that information. It will also show us if you access that information either through putting in the single social security number of that individual, or if you access that information within the batch report, okay? A user may be assigned multiple roles. Please ensure that you have at your agency at least one person with the applicable occupancy role. For example, if you administer both the public housing and Section 8 programs, you want to make sure that you have a PHA occupancy voucher user and a PHA occupancy public housing user. If it's just Section 8, you're just going to have a Section 8 user. Your occupancy user roles should only be assigned to people who have a need to know to view EIV information for the purposes of doing, whether it's, program compliance, eligibility. Where's our investigator from DC, Larry? If you're investigating folks and you need to be checking somebody out, yes, you need access to EIV. But your maintenance worker, he doesn't need access to EIV. Okay, one of the questions on the EIV questionnaire, who should have access to the EIV system? And, basically it's anyone who has a need to know for the purposes of carrying out the administration of the public housing or housing choice voucher Section 8 program in the context of determining eligibility level of assistance or program compliance. Your truck driver that's making the deliveries, he does not need access to EIV. So don't even waste your time doing that, okay? Your user's administrator should not be the security administrator. That's like the bad cop chasing the good cop, okay? Your user administrator and security administrator should be two different people unless you are a small housing authority. If it's an ED and one person running the show, guess what? Y'all gonna have everything. But if you're Seattle Housing Authority, I don't want to see, 5 people all with the same roles. There needs to be checks and balances, making sure that everything is in its proper order, and it's checks and balance. One hand checks this hand checks that one. You don't want both. You don't want your that's like the police officer policing himself. Well, you know what, Nicole? I think I'm gonna write myself a ticket today because I went 5 miles over the speed limit. Not. See what I'm saying? See, that doesn't make sense. So everything is logical and rational, okay? I was in the office today crying over 80 pieces of paper that I wasted. They like, Nicole, it's really not that serious. I'm like, dang, I really didn't want to waste that paper. It happens. It happens. Okay? Your folks should have at least 2 user administrators and 2 security administrators, again, unless you are a small housing authority. The reason why we say you should have at least 2 if Peggy goes out on maternity leave, or if John hits the lottery and he's not coming back, you need a backup, okay? So you got to make sure you have at least 2. Now, if you're a small housing authority, it's understandable that you're not going to have 2. Now, your user administration by users, notice here, user administration is your header. You will simply click on the by users link to request access or modify access. And your user administrator is authorized to add and remove EIV access roles within the agency. Addition of the roles by the user administrator generates a pending access request for your local field office to approve within the EIV system. The HUD user administrator is authorized to add and remove roles for anyone. So like, for example, if you didn't have a user administrator at your agency, the only way that you're going to get somebody to get access is if your EIV coordinator in the local HUD office actually does the role assignment. And so in that case, you wouldn't even see that process where it goes from no status to pending to approved. You would just see the status go from no status to approved, okay, if that makes sense. If you have a user administrator, it's going to be blank, which is no status. When you make the request as a user administrator, it's going to go to a pending status, and that pending status is there for the field office to approve for you, okay? So you'll see it go from blank, pending, approved. If your access has not been approved within at least, 3 days, you need to pick up the phone and call your HUD office and say, hey, I've got a pending access request. Now, I do try to stay on top of our EIV coordinators and ask them to make sure that they're checking the pending access request report on a regular basis to make sure that they're doing those approvals for you, okay? Please keep in mind that me and HUD headquarters, most of you I do not know, okay? So if you write in and say, hey, I need EIV access, I'm going to refer you back to your local HUD office because, first of all, I don't even know what access you're supposed to have, nor do I know whether or not you're authorized to have EIV access. And if you'll recall, back in April of 2011, I had to send out a message saying that this is the EIV access protocol. All EIV access issues are handled locally. In the event that your local HUD office is unable to resolve your issue, then you can elevate it to me in headquarters at eiv_help@hud.gov with a copy to your local HUD office. And the reason I had to do that is because we had some individuals, they wrote in, they're like, Nicole, I've been trying to get my EIV access squared away for the last, 15 years, and when am I going to get it? Well, first of all, EIV hasn't been around for 15 years, so that's hint number 1 that maybe you're really not who you say you are, but let's say you are. How do I know? How does Nicole Faison know that you are supposed to have access? And you haven't copied your local HUD office. You haven't provided me with your user ID. All you've given me is a name. Now, granted, if you give me a name, I can try and search it through the database to look you up and find you. But, I go by Nicole, but, a lot of people call me Nick. So if I say, hey, Nick Faison needs EIV access, and I search the database for Nick Faison, guess what? Nothing's going to come up. A lot of times people use, their nicknames. Lindsay, she's really Linda, but I Google Lindsay, and Lindsay doesn't come up in the system. So we want to make sure that the EIV access protocol is followed to the T. And, if you end up in my mailbox in Washington, D.C., I'm going to have to confirm that you're supposed to have EIV access, because unfortunately, some people, and you know me, I love EIV, so when you tell me you can't access EIV, I'm like, by golly, we got to get them connected. And I have gotten some people connected that didn't have no business being connected, okay? i.e. the person who just got fired yesterday and their access was terminated. So that's why we go through that process. So I'm like, hey, if you come into Washington, I need your HUD form 52676. I need your local HUD office copied on the request, which then says, hey, they know that I've got a problem and they weren't able to resolve it in a 24-hour period. Because in my mind, I'm only one person, but you have to work with your local field office. In my mind, everyone should have EIV access like this, because literally your EIV access is controlled by a click. And a click takes 2 seconds. But your field offices, they have many, many priorities. So they do their EIV access typically within a 72-hour period, okay? So if by some chance the local HUD office is out of the office and there's no one there to do it, I can do it for you as long as I have the HUD form 52676 and your local HUD office is copied on that message so they know that I'm working that out for you, okay? All right, and then here's your user administration by user screens, and basically it's very simplistic. Either you enter the last name or the user ID, and I want to alert you that for brand new EIV users, what you'll want to do is enter that 6-digit user ID, which begins with the letter M and is followed by other letters or numbers, and do your search by that, and that individual will pop up for you to select the various roles to assign to the user. Notice here, this is what the screen looks like when you're ready to assign roles to a user. Notice there's no check boxes here. You will check the applicable check boxes. Do not check all of these check boxes. Okay, I know you all, I'm guilty of it. I'm clicker happy. Click, 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 click. You see a checkbox, you're like, I want it all. Give it to me. You don't need everything, okay? You want to make sure you're adding the roles that are applicable to that particular user, okay? Now, Larry, he's in investigations. Larry is not going to be entering debts owed information into EIV. That's the responsibility of his colleague, Delphine and Cerise. Okay, they're going to do that. Larry, of course, may want to see the debts owed and termination report so he can see which one of his tenants who's showing up somewhere else at another housing authority and they owed him money. So he can follow up with that and collect that paper, right, Larry? Because Larry's going to get that money. All right. Notice here as we transition, it was blank. Here, I actually approved this individual's access. So notice now it says approved, okay? But if the user administrator had checked the check boxes and hit that update button, it would have said pending, okay? And then the pending would mean it's time for the HUD person to approve it. But I went in and hooked this person up with EIV access, and once I click that button, it automatically flags it as approved, and it's instantaneous. Okay, so once it says approved, the gates of EIV have opened for you. Notice the little pencil here next to the PHA occupancy public housing role. Here it is approved. However, remember, for public housing, you have to assign the projects to the user ID so that they can actually see income information without getting the error message. So when you click on that little pencil, here's all the list of your housing authority's project codes as reflected in PIC, okay? Now, if you have a development that is a new construction that you have just finished, keep in mind, until that development is classified in PIC as available for occupancy, that project, that new project code is not going to appear in the drop-down list here or the list of available projects to add to a particular user ID, okay? So it's the new development has got to be classified as, ready for occupancy, because if it's still in the status of, new construction, it's not going to show up. So you would simply check the applicable project codes. Now, in some cases, you may see project codes with 8 digits. Those are the old project codes, and the PIC team has not done away with those 8-digit project codes. So if you were to hit the select all button, it would select everything, but when you go to hit the update button, it would come back and give you an error message, but only the 11-digit project codes, which is the new asset management project code numbers, would be selected. So you would have to basically then click the update button again to approve the addition of the 11-digit code project codes to that particular user ID. Okay? And then here's a confirmation. If you'll notice in the little blue box, it says user projects have been updated for user and the user ID number there. That's how you know that you've received confirmation that the projects have been assigned to the user ID. And then if you want to remove roles, it's very easy. Simply click in within the checkbox and then hit the update button. If you want to revoke all roles, you just click on the revoke all, and that'll remove all assigned roles to a user ID. Very simplistic. Okay? Users have to be certified on a semi-annual basis, and that process is April and October. As of right now, it is October the 27th. User certification is due by October 30th. However, I have sent out a message saying that users should be certified by COB tomorrow, October 28th, because this is a weekend in which we will deploy the new code for EIV. So I want to make sure that everyone is certified by COB tomorrow night before we deploy the new code for EIV. Now, when I checked yesterday, there was 2,524 users who still had not been certified. So I want to let you know, if you still need EIV access, you need to be certified. If you are not certified and something goes haywire with the deployment of EIV this weekend, you will lose your access if you're not certified by September 30th. Now, does any housing authority work Saturdays and Sundays? Anyone? Anyone? Y'all not working overtime this weekend. The bottom line is most of you all do not work weekends. So y'all need to get the click in by tomorrow to make sure your people are certified, because on Monday, the user is not certified, they're going to lose their EIV access automatically, okay? And that means you got to go through the process of having your access reinstated, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm a user administrator, and I have certified all of my users, okay? So you need to make sure you have certified all of your users. And HUD field offices, please make sure that you have certified all of the PHA user administrators. PHA user administrators, you're required to certify anyone at your agency who does not have the user administrator role. User administrators cannot certify themselves, okay? Now, if some housing authorities said, hey, I don't have any, I can't get my user certification page to come up, that means you have no one to certify, okay? Please don't ask me to confirm that your users are certified. We have 4,000 and some odd housing authorities, and we have 22,000 plus users. I'm only one person. Check your report. Click and look, okay? Please. All right? If you have individuals who are no longer with your agency, and for some reason they're still active in PIC and still active in WAS, do not certify these users, okay? Because they will automatically be terminated on October 31st. They should not be certified. Anyone who no longer needs access to the EIV system, if you've had staff that have transitioned from occupancy to maintenance, guess what? They don't need EIV access, so just go on and let them expire on October 31st. If the access is terminated due to non-certification, your housing authority user administrator is going to need to go into EIV on Monday, reassign the roles, and then they're going to be pending access for approval by your local HUD office. Now, my friends, if there's 2,524 users that are going to lose access on Monday, your field offices are going to be very busy, so don't expect them to click very quickly, okay? Here is the user certification schedule, letting you know April 30th, for the period of April 30th through October 30th, the certification period begins on April 1st and is due by April 29th. We're in the current certification period of October 31st through April 29, 2012. Users must be certified by the 30th, but I'm asking you to please certify your users by the last business day of this month, which is tomorrow, the 28th. The user certification process is very, very easy. All you have to do is click on the user certification link. We ask to work smarter, not harder. Select the pending certification status and click on the list users button. And when you click pending certifications and click list users, you will get the list of the users that are due for certification, and there will be a Certify User button, and you will click Certify User. When you click the button, the individual will come off of the report. EIV access may be terminated for the following ways. If you terminate a person's access in WAS, they automatically will not be able to access EIV. If you terminate them in PIC, the user will not be able to access EIV. If you revoke the EIV roles within the EIV user administrator, the individual, of course, will not be able to access any EIV functions. And in the event that you fail to certify a user, the system will automatically terminate the user's access, what we call an system-generated termination. And then also, be reminded that within the WAS, the Web Access Secure System, or the HUD Secure System, if you do not log on to HUD Secure Systems at least once every 90 days, you will automatically be terminated. Okay, so again, that's another system-generated termination if you do not access the HUD Secure Systems. As I mentioned earlier, HUD may terminate a user if we determine that you are non-compliant with security requirements. Housing authorities are required to terminate assistance, or basically terminate EIV users' access when an employee leaves the agency. That's a question on the questionnaire. When do you terminate an individual's access when they leave the agency? The day that they're terminated. So if today is your last day, today is your last day of EIV access. Not when you turn in the keys, not yesterday, not tomorrow, not next week, but today. That's the correct response to that security awareness questionnaire question. When do I terminate EIV access for someone who's terminated? The date of termination. If an employee's duties no longer requires the use of EIV access, you will terminate their access. And if an employee breaches security requirements, you will terminate the EIV access. So, using the EIV system, easy as 1, 2, 3. You simply log on to the HUD Secure System. This is a very familiar screen. You'll put in your user ID and password and click on the Log On button. And then, of course, reminder, these are your user login, warning page. You might want to read these from time to time just to see what you're clicking to, because when you click Accept, you're accepting the terms and conditions outlined on that page. I probably sold my soul a couple times to the devil, because when I'm trying to download those iTunes and they got that little thing, I'm like, yes, I accept, because I'm just trying to get the latest and greatest download of iTunes. I don't know what I've just clicked to. I'm just trying to get to the, but sometimes just take a moment to read. Our stuff isn't as lengthy as, some of those other softwares that you're downloading. As I mentioned earlier, EIV, number 1 on the list of HUD Secure Systems. You'll just simply click on the EIV link. An EIV Security Awareness Questionnaire will appear. The page will contain 10 questions for you to answer to confirm your awareness of the applicable administrative, physical, and technical safeguards with respect to safeguarding EIV information. Once you have successfully completed that questionnaire, you will be permitted access to the EIV system. You must answer 9 out of 10 questions correctly. If you do not answer 9 out of 10 questions correctly, the questionnaire will reappear. So I just want to make sure everyone is clear. If the questionnaire reappears, it is not a system glitch. So please stop writing me and telling me you answered all 10 questions correctly, or you answered 9 out of 10 questions correctly and there's a system glitch. There is no system glitch. You have answered a question incorrectly. The good news is that on Monday, October 31st, 2011, if you answer a question incorrectly, you will now know what question you answered incorrectly. All of the answers to the security questionnaire are embedded on those EIV oath pages within these PowerPoint presentation materials, and some of them are really KISS, and some of them are really HUD spelled backwards, duh. Okay? Some of the questions are just so keep it stupid simple, I can't even believe some of the questions are answered incorrectly, but sometimes the way you answer the question is indicative of your actions of what you do at your housing authority. Because there are a lot of people that answered that question, true or false. It's okay for me to give my executive director my user ID. They're like, true. And they're like, shoot, Bobby asked for my user ID, Bobby gets. What Bobby wants, Bobby gets. But no, that's against the security policies. But they answered the question in accordance to what they do in their day-to-day activities. So I just want to remind you, what you do in your day-to-day activities might not be correct, so you just have to be cognizant of that, okay? Just because you do it doesn't make it right, okay? So the printer-friendly questionnaire results are available in EIV for those that want them. You would simply click on the security questionnaire report link, and that report would appear with an icon for you to print those results out. Also notice that here's a sample. It lets you know the purpose of the questionnaire is to determine that you have an awareness of the applicable administrative technical safeguards. And then the questions are listed, 10 of them, for you to select a response to. Once you've passed or answered 9 out of 10 questions correctly, you will be congratulated for your success in answering the questions properly, and the doors of EIV will be open once you acknowledge the various certifications of EIV security awareness and the EIV consent forms are in place. And then for those of you that do not answer all the questions correctly, again, the system will tell you you must successfully complete the questionnaire to access the EIV system. So that message will now be displayed for you to let you know that you're being prompted to take the questionnaire again. If you try to submit your responses and do not answer all of the questions, that's why I said earlier, you can't outsmart EIV. If you don't answer all 10 questions, the system is going to tell you, please answer all questions, and you must answer them all in order to move forward. Then once you get past the security awareness questionnaire, your legal warning page is displayed for you to check the applicable checkboxes certifying that you have participated or will participate in EIV system training in accordance with HUD guidance. That guidance is outlined in PIH Notice 2010-19, particularly paragraph 22. And then the second certification is that you're acknowledging and understanding that you're accessing a secure system protected under the Federal Privacy Act. And then you're also certifying that you have a valid form, 9886 form, or equivalent consent form meeting the requirements under 24 CFR Part 5, Section 230. And for HUD users, we only have 2 check boxes. And again, it's participation in the EIV system training, as well as acknowledging that we're accessing a secure system and containing data protected under the Federal Privacy Act. If you don't check the certification boxes, EIV will return these error messages, basically letting you know you must certify yada yada, okay? Will not let you go further without you checking the box. Getting started in EIV, very simplistic system. You do not have to read the instruction manual to operate the system. It's very intuitive and straightforward. Notice that all of your EIV functions are on the left side, which we call the left navigation panel. To access any function, you would simply just click on the anything that's in white text to access a desired EIV function. You have the ability to view data for a household, as well as income discrepancy information within one click. And you would simply just click on the income report. I got clicker happy. You'll click on the income report tab to view household income details, and then you'll see the host of employment information that's available, as well as any other information that has been obtained through the computer matching program. You also will notice that on the EIV income report, there are detailed error messages with respect to individuals who may be receiving multiple assistance, individuals who have failed the SSA identity test, individuals who have reported debts owed or adverse information, all on the EIV income report. So if you never run any of the EIV standalone verification reports, if you're doing annuals or interim reexaminations, all of that information is clearly outlined on the EIV income report. If someone is deceased, that information is also listed on there with the date of death, if in fact there is a date of death provided. I mentioned that also one of the reasons I love EIV is because you have the ability to identify the historical patterns of earnings for an individual. And what I mean by that is that EIV displays, when they started working, their quarterly wages for the duration of an extended period of time. You have the ability to identify when someone started a new job, because the new hire information is going to give you the date in which they started that job and where they started. Also, the reason why I love the EIV report is because you get to minimize or streamline the income verification process and determine whether or not you're going to have to pursue your traditional third-party verification, as we discussed earlier, determining why an individual failed the SSA identity screening, as well as identifying individuals who may be receiving multiple assistance. Your tenant information can be accessed one or two ways: by Ssn for the head of household, or in batch, which is by reexamination month. EIV contains a household income report for every family that is reflected in PIC, okay? EIV users may only access tenant information within their PHA portfolio and assign programs and projects. So if you only have Section 8 access for, Topeka, Kansas, you cannot see tenant income information for anyone outside of that particular program and that particular PHA. So to access tenant information by head of household information, very simplistic. Enter the 9-digit Social Security number and click on the Get Information button, and this option is available, but remember, work smarter, not harder. Just enter the 9-digit Social Security number, but for whatever reason, if you don't have the 9-digit Social Security number, simply enter in the last name and or date of birth and your PHA code to search for that information. And notice, if you happen to be an individual who works for multiple housing authorities, you can have multiple PHA codes assigned to your user ID as reflected in the WAS system. Okay, and so here's an example showing you the various PHA codes assigned to this particular user. But do keep in mind, when you search for tenant information by last name and or date of birth, you must select a PHA code, okay? If you search by Ssn, you do not have to enter a PHA code. It will scan all PHAs that are assigned within your user ID portfolio. Okay, and then here's just an explanation to explain in what instances EIV will not allow you to access information. So for example, if you conduct a search by head of household last name and or date of birth with a PHA code not selected, you'll get an error message telling you you must select a participant code. Another reason why you might get an error message is if you search for information by head of household that's not within your PHA portfolio or project, at which time you'll get an error message saying you're not authorized to view the information of this individual. And last, if you conduct a search using an invalid head of household Ssn or HOH head of household Ssn that does not appear in the PIC database. Okay, and I'll show you examples of what that looks like. Here's an example. Please select a participant code. If you try to search for the last name Miller and there's no participant code selected, you will get that error message in red. Here, I've tried to search for Miller within FL001, but I do not have permission to view information for this family because he is not within my portfolio or projects assigned to my user ID. Here's an example where a current 5/8 was not found for the Social Security number that you entered, okay? And here's another example. For those of you that like to do 99999s, PIC will reject 99999s, but if you try to search for 999, it's going to tell you there's no record found for 999, okay? No 99s, no 111s either, no 222s or 333s. They're all going to be rejected. Now, you all got my message about Ssn randomization. Effective June 25th, SSA went to Social Security number randomization, which means that Social Security numbers no longer have those particular characteristics of the state ID and the middle 2 digits being assigned to only certain categories of numbers. Basically now, everything is going to be a valid Social Security number unless it begins with 000, 666, or anything between a series of 900 through 999, Okay, 2 digits will never be 00. Last 4 digits will never be 0000. So last week, the PIC IT team, did a back-end system fix to ensure that 5/8 that were previously rejected, that were containing newly issued Social Security numbers, would be accepted or the flag removed from the 5/8 so that those 5/8 can come into the system. Please notice that now when you have people that are born after June 25th, those Social Security numbers are not going to be similar to what you've been accustomed to looking at. So like for Maryland, you know if you're born in Maryland, you're going to be in a 200 series. That doesn't exist anymore. Anything goes now with the assignment of Social Security numbers, with the exceptions of 000, 666, and 900 through 999. They will not issue any numbers in that series, okay? If you want to read more about the Social Security number randomization, but it's fairly straightforward, and I did explain it in a PIH-RHIIP message that we distributed about a week and a half ago, but if you want to view more information on that process, go to www.socialsecurity.gov. Your contents of the EIV income report is very simplistic. It's going to contain your head of household summary information as extracted from PIC, as well as the employment information, wages, unemployment compensation, Social Security benefits, Dole Entitlement, Medicare Data, as well as supplemental security benefit information and disability information. Your household summary information, as I mentioned earlier, is extracted from PIC. And these are the various fields that are extracted from PIC. I'm not going to read those off to you, but those are there for your reading convenience and leisure. And then the employment information, as we talked earlier, is going to be derived from the HHS National Directory of New Hires, which is going to contain the hire date, the state in which the employee was hired, the employer identification number, as well as the employer name and address, and the date that EIV received the information. Your wage information, very straightforward. It's going to contain the quarterly wage or pay period, quarter and year in which the earnings were reported, the amount of the gross wages, your employer identification number, as well as the employer name and address, and the date received by EIV. Here's an example of wage information. You'll notice that here's wage information from Q3 of 2009 down to Q4 of 2007. And again, notice here, this person's been working at the same place. You're like, where's the 2010 data? Where's the 2011 data? We didn't get that data. Unfortunately, it was not made available to us, and probably the individual's still working there, but you could certainly ask them if he's still working at the Shepherd Pratt Hospital. Okay, your unemployment benefit information is going to contain the pay period in which the unemployment benefits were paid, as well as the gross benefit unemployment amount and the date received by EIV. Here's an example. Notice here we have Q2 of 2011. There was nothing paid out, but we did receive that information from the local unemployment office that no benefits were paid as of August 20th, 2011. And most people say, well, why would you display all these zeros? And probably what happened in this case, this individual at some point in time probably applied for unemployment benefits and maybe they weren't eligible. And so the unemployment office documents, open cases, closed cases, and whether or not something was paid out. So they're saying nothing was paid out here. If you didn't see any employment, if there's no data here, that means the person probably never filed a claim for unemployment benefits. Your Social Security benefits, again, straightforward. You're going to have your payment status code, the gross benefit amount, the net benefit amount, as well as the payee name and address if applicable, and any payment history, including the last 8 changes to the benefit amount. Here's an example of your Social Security, and this came into EIV as of September 2nd, and this person is receiving about $600 and some odd monthly benefit being paid. Now, this is a common issue that comes up. People say, hey, what does this premium and buy-in yes mean? And I just want to reiterate that when it says that the buy-in is yes, and there's a listed amount, this means that that listed amount is paid by a third party, okay? This is not an out-of-pocket expense, so therefore this amount should not be used in the calculation of determining eligible deductions for medical expenses, okay? So I just want to make sure everybody puts a star on this slide so that you understand that, because this is a common question. Medicare premium buy-in or hospital insurance buy-in, if it says yes, That means it's paid by a third party. In order for an individual to be eligible for allowable medical expense, it must meet the 3% annual income threshold, and it must be an actual out-of-pocket expense by the individual. On the other hand, notice that this is a premium buy-in of no. That means the individual is paying for the insurance, which is deducted from their Social Security benefits. Notice that the gross amount is one amount, and then the net benefit amount is the actual amount deducted for the medical expense. You would use the gross, you're always using the gross benefit amount reported to calculate annual income, and then you would do the 3% threshold test, and then do the multiplication for the insurance premium of $115.40 times 12 to come up with annual medical expenses, subtract the 3%. And that would be your allowable medical expenses for that. Here's an example that, oftentimes folks say, well, I don't see anything in EIV, but there's these little tidbit notes in EIV. And I just want to let you know, Social Security Administration provides you with valuable information that might be of use to you. Ms. Faison, I don't have any income right now because, I'll apply for Social Security benefits and I'm waiting for the status of my claim, so that's why I don't want to do these interim re-exams with you every month. Well, sir, as of August 20th, SSA denied your claim. Do you have documentation from Social Security that you have appealed, you have a pending appeal for your Social Security claim? Judge Judy said, is not an answer. That's a yes or a no. Either you have a claim that's being appealed or you don't, okay? So denied claim, it tells you the claim was denied. Don't fall for the okie doke, okay? There's information available to you. Here's another one. Child beneficiary is no longer attending school on a full-time basis and is between the ages of 18 and 19, okay? Person was receiving $694 in Social Security benefits. What question might you ask the tenant? Are you working? Are you going to school? I'm going to school. Do you have proof that you're going to school? Because Social Security stopped paying your Social Security benefits because you're not going to school. Remember, as long as you're going to school and eligible, they will pay your benefits. So these are tips to help you go through that interview process or validating information reported by the families during the annual re-exam. Your Dole Entitlement is benefit information in which an individual is eligible for benefits under another person's Social Security number, and EIV will provide you with the claim number, which is the other person's or the person's Social Security number in which they're entitled to receive benefits under, along with the payment status code, as well as the date of current entitlement of those benefits, along with gross benefit, net benefit payable, and the payee name, address, and benefit history. And here's an example of what dual entitlement looks like. I am aware that for a small number of cases in which an individual had dual entitlement information being reported by SSA, the EIV report, when accessed by SSN only, would have some gobbledygook on there, and so that is being fixed with the October 31st, 2011 release, where you would be able to see the full household information on the EIV income report. But if you're running any reports between now and tomorrow, October 28th, you can see the full household income information for anybody with dual entitlement by using the by reexamination month function to access that EIV information. Here's an example to show you that the individual is entitled to other benefits. And keep in mind, they're no longer being paid. So this tenant was once eligible for benefits under another Social Security number. So when you see this, that they're entitled to other benefits, what question might you ask this particular tenant? Hey, what are those other benefits you're eligible to receive? Do you have a current benefit verification letter? Because I noticed that you're no longer receiving benefit under your deceased husband, Bubba Jones. Okay? Dual entitlement, here's an example where benefits are not paid. Also, make sure that you're looking, sometimes you'll see statuses to the right of the actual gross benefit amount. And in this case, benefits are not paid, but notice that at one point in time they were eligible for $11, but for whatever reason, SSA stopped paying those benefits. Medicare data, we talked about this. Basically, this is information provided by Social Security Administration in the context of current insurance premiums and whether or not those premiums are paid by a third party or paid by the individual. Do not include the listed amounts in medical deduction calculations if there is a medical buy-in, and we talked about that already. And again, here's a clear example of the Medicare example. Here, the $115.40 is being paid by a third party on behalf of Jerome. Your SSI or Supplemental Security Income Benefit information, again, provides you with your alien indicator, payment status, as well as the gross benefit, net benefit, payee, name, address. If there's current state disability being paid and available to SSA, they will display that information. Some states have opted to not provide that information to SSA. So some states you'll see it, some states you will not see it. And here's an example of your SSI benefits. Here's the person, Jerome again, receiving recurring benefits of $28, and notice that he also receives a state disability benefit amount as well, which is listed for you to determine the actual annual income or anticipated annual income from SSI benefits. And then there's a section on the EIV report that says disability, and we advise you that there's a disability status of either yes or no, and it also will, in instances available, provide you with the onset of the disability date. In the event that it says that there's a disability and it's flagged as yes, but there is no current paid disability benefit, you would have to resort to determining whether or not the family is eligible for the $400 disability allowance by obtaining documentation from a physician or someone that's in the position to certify that the family meets the definition of being disabled in accordance with the federal definition of being disabled. And here's an example showing you that this person's disabled and has been disabled since May, looks like 1993. Now, this is where we are. It is now 4:15. We're going to go into use of the income report, and once we finish this segment of the training, we're going to conclude for the day. And for those of you that are in our live studio audience, if you want to talk to me or have questions regarding the content of the training material or any other questions related to EIV, I'll make myself available to discuss that with you after the break. Now, your income reports. PHAs are required to use these reports in accordance with the HUD guidance outlined in PIH Notice 2010-19, which basically is to use the report to validate tenant reported income and make sure that there are no potential unreported income. Please make sure you're reviewing the EIV income report during all annual and interim reexaminations. Again, the point is to make sure that there's nothing showing up on there that you're not aware of. If necessary, you're going to obtain income documentation from your tenant. And in the event that your tenant is disputing EIV information or it's a new job and there's not enough information in EIV, you would then pursue your traditional third-party verification if necessary, if the tenant is unable to provide you with documentation. And then next, my favorite part, resolving any income discrepancies with the family, okay? Again, if you're seeing something on the report, Nicole, I did not know you were working at the Piggly Wiggly. How long you been working there? Oh, I've been there since 1971. Wow. I'm looking at your annual re-exam from last year and the prior years, and you didn't report that you work at the Piggly Wiggly. I forgot. That's my part-time job. That's, my part-time job to buy, little Ricky those Nintendo and, PlayStation games and, iPad. You then have to resolve that fact that there's a discrepancy, and you've got to, go back retroactively. She's admitted that she's worked there since 1971. Now, granted, you might not have all the annual re-exams dating back to 1971. However, for all the 5/8 and the supporting documentation that you have, some of you all don't purge your file folder. So if I go to some certain housing authorities, they're like, Ms. Faison, I got every annual re-exam dating back to 1971. Guess what you get to do? You get to calculate that retroactive rent as far back as you have documentation to determine what was improperly paid on behalf of that family or what they should have been paying, okay? But we'll talk about that in a moment, about resolving income discrepancies using the EIV income report. Next, you're required to maintain the EIV income reports in the tenant file. And notice that we have outlined here the record retention requirements for EIV information, which basically EIV is to be maintained at a minimum. You have to keep the last 3 years of re-exams in the file folder. HUD only requires the most latest 3 years. Anything older than 3 years you can purge. However, if you don't purge, EIV information may be retained in the tenant file folder for the duration of tenancy, but not for a period to exceed 3 years from the EOP date unless there's pending litigation, which began prior to the termination of the family. Also, for those of you that are going green, that is fabulous. Please understand that electronic retention of EIV records is permissible, and that's outlined in 24 CFR 908.101. Also, please keep in mind that during the annual and interim reexamination process, tenants are required, notice the word required, to provide you with any documentation that you deem necessary for determining the eligibility and level of assistance, okay? And this is the HUD regulation. 960-259 is applicable to public housing. For Section 8, it's 982-551. For those individuals who do not wish to give you the requested documentation, you will have to let them know that this program is not for them and that you will unfortunately have to discontinue their participation in that program, okay? It's not an option for them to opt what they're going to give you, or, nah, Ms. Faison, I checked that little box on y'all form that says I can opt out. No, there's no opting out of providing documentation, okay? So, no, you have to let them know that was some other form that they were confusing your form with. There's no opt-out of disclosure of information, okay? Also, housing authorities, you have the right to reject documentation provided by the tenant. She'll tell you right over here, this is Agent Annie. No, I'm sorry, Miss Jones, I'm not going to be able to accept this documentation. What I'm going to need from you instead is ABCD, and I need that information within 10 business days. Right, Agent Annie? She's like, yep. Okay. If you determine that the document is not original or it's not authentic, just, Judge Judy, she said, when the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, that means something's not right, something doesn't smell right. If you got that same philosophy, you just have to let the family know what the alternative documentation is that you're going to accept from them, okay? If the original document appears to be altered, mutilated, not legible, well, Ms. Faison, I was on the bus and I know that's about 15 footprints on that pay stub. And I'm like, is that a 5? Is that a 7? Is that a 2? No, I'm sorry. I'm going to need some legible, clear pay stubs so that I can, get a clear picture of what your income is, okay? If the document appears to be forged, again, does not appear to be authentic, you have the right to reject that documentation and say, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to accept this documentation. This is what we're going to need from you, and please provide it within X amount of days. Again, in accordance with your PHA policy or your standard operating procedures, that's how you're going to deal with that situation. Generating the EIV report is very simplistic. If you have the PHA occupancy voucher or public housing role, you will be able to generate the income report by head of household or using the by reexamination month function. Again, you'll enter in either the Social Security number or a combination of the last name, date of birth, and click on the Get Report information. And EIV is going to display for you, if you do a search by a Social Security number, it's going to have a summary report page, which includes the identity verification status. Then there'll be a certification page, and then there'll be an income report tab, and then there'll be an income discrepancy analysis or report tab. Now, I'm not sure if I mentioned this to you, but the income discrepancy report will no longer be listed on the list of verification reports within EIV. That is because we do not want you wasting your time trying to back into numbers that are on that report. That income discrepancy report will no longer be available as an identity verification report. However, there still will be a tab within the tenant search for income information. There still will be an income discrepancy tab, but it's an analysis tab only. It's for informational purposes only and not to be used for any income calculations or trying to figure out how HUD came up with those numbers. Don't waste your time trying to back into numbers. We're going to talk about tomorrow how to resolve income discrepancies using the income report and not using the numbers that are on the income discrepancy analysis. That really is not the intent of those numbers for you to be doing your own calculation. Well, let me see how they came up with this $12,564.27. You're wasting your time. Your time is to be spent looking at that EIV income report and noticing any disparities between what's on that report and what's on your 50058. Now, here we go into the screenshots. This is how easy EIV is. Clicking on the By Head of Household link will get you to this lovely screen for you to enter the Social Security number, last name and or Social Security number. Work smarter, not harder. My friends, 9 keystrokes, 9 numbers. Social Security number will take you where you need to be. If you opt to search by last name, you're going to have to do it in multiple steps. So you're going to type in a last name, then you're going to get all the individuals that meet your search criteria. Then you're going to have to click on the name to actually get to the page you want to get to, which is this page, which is going to be your summary report. And notice your tabs at the top of the page. The current page that you're on or tab that you're on is in blue. Notice all the other tabs are gray. When you click from tab to tab, the tab will change from gray to blue, okay? Notice your identity verification status. This is what you want the identity verification status for all your tenants to reflect. Verified, verified, verified. If you see failed or deceased, you know that there's some problem. If you see pending, no worries. Pending means that HUD is getting ready to send that data to SSA for matching, and that's where we go into our definition. Pending means SSA is getting ready to give us that information. It's pending matching with SSA. Verified means that the PII on the 5.8 matches SSA records. Failed means that the tenant personal identifiers do not match the SSA records. And deceased means just that. Mary is deceased. She's dead. See how simple that is? Straightforward, isn't it? Here's an example, again, showing your verified identity verification status. Here's a status of pending. Pending, again, there's no action required. We're getting ready to send that data over to SSA for matching. Here's your failed identity verification. This is what you don't want to see. Deceased, you don't want to see that either, but you can make the deceased go away by doing an updated 5.8 and submitting it to PIC to remove the deceased individual or doing an end of participation for a single member deceased household. And then here's an indication, detailed error message on the income report that if an individual fails the SSA identity test, it'll tell you that this one failed because there's a discrepancy in the date of birth. The date of birth reported is 11/11/1959, and please be reminded when SSA gives you a date of birth, that is the date of birth that you must put on your 5.8, because that's what's on the records at SSA. If your tenant disputes that, they have to resolve that issue with SSA. Now, your question. Tenant born in Mexico. Is that Mexico the country or? So if they don't have a birth certificate, can she prove that she's an eligible citizen or eligible non-citizen? If it's on the SSA documentation, yes. Her question is if the person wasn't able to provide a birth certificate showing her date of birth, can you use information that's reported on the SSA documentation? The answer is yes. Okay. Do keep in mind, there's no HUD requirement that says you have to request a birth certificate for the purposes of confirming a date of birth. Y'all's housing authority establishes a policy as to what is acceptable documentation with respect to establishing date of birth. It's just by standard practice, date of birth is confirmed by a birth certificate or some type of federal state issued ID which contains the date of birth, because typically those entities go through a process to validate the date of birth. But do keep in mind, we validate all personal identifiable information with SSA. So if something comes back as not matching, the bottom line is whatever's on your 5.8 has to match what's on the file at SSA. So if SSA says everything's a go, then there is no issue. But do keep in mind that person born in Mexico, unless she's got a I-551, which is a green card, or documentation of refugee or asylum status or other eligibility to be a lawful permanent resident of the United States, she is an ineligible non-citizen. So if she's a permanent resident, she has documentation as evidenced by a green card I-551 or other refugee asylum status. Otherwise, the individual is an eligible non-citizen, and the assistance must be prorated. So moving on, we have access to your optional certification page. We discussed this earlier. This certification page is voluntary for use by housing authorities that wish to document their consultation with the family to confirm whether or not they agree or disagree with the content of the EIV report. And your housing authority may require the individual to sign the certification page. So could you please tell your tenants, stop calling me in Washington, okay? If you say they gotta sign it, by golly, they gotta sign it. Because you all know I'm very straightforward. If your tenant calls me in Washington about you requiring them to sign the document, you know I'm going to advise them accordingly. Ms. Jones, if your housing authority requires you to sign that document, I would suggest you sign it, because otherwise your housing authority is going to say goodbye to you, okay? If you require it, that's your thing. HUD does not require it, but if you require it, and as long as your state or local law does not prohibit you from making that a requirement, then guess what? It's a requirement, okay? There's a section for the tenant to provide written authorization for the redisclosure of their EIV information. Here's a sample of the top portion of that certification page. Notice that there are little check boxes or brackets for them to check that they agree or disagree with the EIV information and explain why they disagree with the EIV information. Excuse me. Notice here, this is the new bottom portion of the certification page, which includes that written redisclosure of EIV information to a third party, which will be available to you on October 31st, 2011. Also, be reminded, the EIV system was modified last release as of May 2nd, 2011 to allow for you to print out household member information only. Because remember, once upon a time, when you printed the EIV report, you got it for the whole family, and if there were multiple adults on that report, you had to do the cut-a-roo, the white out, the paste over this to hide the other person's information. So all I can say is Elmer's glue, you get ready to go out of business, because we won't be needing your glue anymore to cover up and do those redactions. Scripto, we don't need your ink anymore to black out the other person's information, because now you will just simply click on the print household member information link. A new page will open up, or a new window will open up, allowing you to print just that member information only. And then here's the last part, the income discrepancy report analysis. This is the taboo page. Do yourself a favor. Don't even click on it, okay? It's there, but don't click on it. It's for information purposes only. Do not use for any income calculations. Don't waste your time trying to back into how we came up with $35,652. If you see that now if you insist on looking at it, just know that you need to have a conversation with the family and look at the income report to see what you know about and what you don't know about, okay? And you're going to have to pull me up for working at the Rusty Scupper, that part-time job I didn't tell you about. And mind you, folks, you know it's October. You know what that means, right? Seasonal employment, it counts, okay? Seasonal employment does count. And if you have interim increase policies, it counts. Okay, accessing your tenant information by re-exam month. Here you have the ability to get a batch of income reports for families within your portfolio based on the re-examination month, program type, and your PHA code. And then you have access to summary report as well as detailed reports, which are available in printer-friendly versions. Do note that your detailed income reports are not downloadable into Excel, but only available in printer-friendly versions. And then you have page tabs, which allows the easy maneuvering between summary and detailed reports. And to access the by reexamination month or batch income reports, you will simply click on the by reexamination month link. Notice here that you will select your program type, reexamination month, and your housing authority code is already pre-populated, and you will click on the get report link. And basically, you will have access to anyone who shows up within the search criteria that you have, and you will click on the various links. Now, I want to show you on the next screenshot, because when you do this by reexamination month, you get a series of report summaries and a list of different reports and an active link when there's more than one family meeting that criteria. So if you'll notice here, you have 129 households with an income report. You have 9 folks with no income report. So you've got all these various reports. And so to access those reports, you would just click on the active link. And so we're going to click on the income report link, at which point in time you will be defaulted to summary reports tabs. But notice that everything listed is for the month of February, and you have 4 households whose last name begins with the letter A. So by default, the system will display only those individuals that begin with the letter A. So if you want to see all, you then have to click on all. If you want to just go by a particular last name, you click on the alpha character, and then you can see the information. Your summary reports is nothing more than just the name and address information. The details report is where you're trying to get to, which shows your income information for all those individuals. Notice also when you click on the detail report tabs for all the families whose last name begins with A, you have an option of printing just the income report, or you can print the income report with the certification page. So if you require your families to sign the certification page, you would just double click on the printer-friendly version with certification page link. If you don't use the certification page, just click on the printer-friendly version link and move on. And then also you have access to the new hires report when you do by reexamination month. Notice here again, you'll just simply click to see what you want to see. In this case, there are no new hires. Here's your failed verification report from the summary report list. Here's your failed EIV pre-screening report from the report summary list. And then I just want to point out that your failed verification report is very, very important in the context that it identifies program participants or tenants who have failed the SSA identity test due to an incorrect name, date of birth, or social security numbers. It also identifies anyone who's deceased. So you want to use this report to correct any erroneous information that's on your 50058. Then your no income report is not a report of individuals who actually have no income, but what it is a report that identifies household members in which SSA and HHS has reported that they don't have any information for those individuals. So I just want to make sure everybody is clear on that. One thing I want to point out, EIV relies on information derived from employers who actually report the wages. EIV does not work for individuals who are entrepreneurs, individuals who are self-employed. So your tenant Bobby, who has a landscaping business and he cuts lawns and he does it for himself, that's not going to show up in EIV, okay? Linda, who has opted to become an entrepreneur and run a babysitting business on her own, or doing hair out of the kitchen, or out of a shop, and she's not getting a 1099 or a W-2, that's not going to show up in EIV, okay? True story. I had a housing authority call me and say, Nicole, I caught one of my tenants with a live-in husband, okay? And we all know that it's hard to prove that somebody's living in a unit. But this person actually came forward and said, look, my husband's been living in the unit, and he's been living with me for the last 2 years. and I need to disclose his income information. So they said, well, we interview all adults separately, and so they said, we're going to run you through our EIV system. So the gentleman said, well, I don't think you're going to find my income in EIV. So they ran him through EIV, and they didn't find any income. So they said, what's your income, sir? So he said, I'll just get going and give you a notarized statement. The notarized statement basically outlined that he was in the pharmaceutical business and that he earned approximately $1,000 a week, cash money. So the question was, Nicole, do I count this $1,000 income that this man is making? By definition, yes. 24 CFR Part 5, Section 609, Paragraph A and B clearly indicates that all amounts, monetary or not, which go to or on behalf of the individuals to be counted as income. However, I had to advise the Housing Authority that we're going to count this income, you're going to owe retro money, but now we have to terminate your assistance because, as Judge Judy would say, this money is from ill-gotten means. And those ill-gotten means are the illegal pharmaceutical business. And as you all know, that you cannot be in subsidized housing and running a drug business unless you are working for, a legitimate pharmaceutical business that is, a legit business. So unfortunately, EIV does not capture under-the-table income. So I just want to share that with you, okay? No income report is not really no income. It's just there's no income reported by the sources. So you have to rely on your interviewing and your checklist that you all utilize with your clients to capture information so that you can be informed as to determining eligibility and level of assistance. So I just want to make you aware of that. Okay, so here is where we are. We're now at my favorite part, income discrepancy resolution using the income report. And as I mentioned earlier, effective 10/31/2011, you are no longer going to see the actual income discrepancy report as a verification report. So my friends, when you look at your EIV left navigation panel today, tomorrow, say au revoir to the income discrepancy report. Go on and clap. She's like, yes, I'm tired. That report was running me ragged. I'm trying to back into these numbers, trying to figure out this and that. You don't have to do it anymore, honey. It's a beautiful thing, okay? Say goodbye to the income discrepancy report. Au revoir. However, you are required to comply with 24 CFR Part 5, Section 236, which deals with disparities between EIV reported income information and tenant reported information. So as we discussed earlier, if you're looking at the EIV report and it shows that there's some employment or there's some Social Security benefits that you weren't previously aware of, you're required to confirm with the tenant and or the third party if necessary to confirm in fact that there was an amount unreported. And then of course the key in income discrepancy resolution is determining when did the income source start? When did it end? If it didn't end, then you know it's going to be factored into the current annual or interim reexamination. However, for retroactive rent calculations, the effective dates of the income that was unreported is essential in determining how much money is going to be owed back to the housing authority or how much a rent for public housing that the family's going to have to pay retroactively, okay? And so you want to review the income report and resolve any disparities between the tenant reported and the EIV reported information. And you're required, if applicable, to update the HUD form 50058 to reflect the new income going forward, okay? Most people ask, do I have to submit updated 5.8 retroactively for all those re-exams? No. Okay. Now there is a place on the 5.8 if you want to document, repayment agreements or so forth. There's a place for you to document that. I do want to advise you that in the event that you determine that you have overpaid money on behalf of the family must repay that money back to the housing authority, okay? Like on the Section 8 program, if you overpaid HAP to the landlord as a result of the family not reporting that income, that HAP overpayment has to be repaid back to the housing authority, and that goes into your net restricted assets for HAP, okay, on the public housing side. If they've paid too little rent, you've got to charge them what they should have been charged, and going forward, you know, they will pay the new adjusted amount, but they have to pay you that money back. It's not an option for them to, well, let me say, this is America, so we all have choices. So if your family chooses not to repay you the money, what do you say? So long, au revoir, bye-bye, ta-ta. Now, some of you all, please choose your words very carefully, because some of you all will have that evaluation that Nicole used to have when I worked at the Housing Authority. They're like, hasta la vista, baby. Out, you out. Ice, baby. Bye. Just let them know, I'm so sorry. We're going to have to say goodbye. Okay? So you must require them to repay. They can choose to pay and stay if you so desire. Some of you have policies that if they owe X amount of dollars, you're not going to entertain a repayment agreement. They have to pay it all in full. I know housing authorities have policies where they say anything under $2,500, you've got to pay within 30 days. Is that legal? Yes. It's whatever your state, local laws allow for you to do. HUD does not dictate the content of your repayment agreements, okay? And of course, if you notice at the last bullet, we say take any other appropriate action as directed by HUD and or your policy. So if it's your policy to terminate anyone who doesn't report complete and accurate information, that's your policy. Although I always advise housing authorities, do not impose policies or implement policies that are very strict. We're terminating everyone. Sometimes cases warrant different actions, okay? And so you don't want to lock yourself into you're only going to do A. And that's why I always advise to implement a policy that says each case will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis and action will be taken based on the merits of that case. Because the minute that you have a policy that says everyone is evicted, the one case that you do not evict or the one case that you do not terminate assistance, guess where you're going to be? In court, before a judge. Guess what? You may even get a discrimination lawsuit because somebody's going to allege that you discriminated against them for some other beknownst reason, color, race, religion, whatever. And that may not even be the case. But I have seen where people will file a equal housing opportunity case saying they were discriminated because you had a policy in which you said you do this for everyone, but the one case you opted to do something different. So that's why I say review cases on a case-by-case basis, and then you make a decision. At my housing authority, I had the flight of risk theory. If you look like, based on past history, if your house was dirty, you did do the annual re-exam on time, you got a lot of complaints, your rent's late every month, what do you think's going to happen when they come before me with a $15,000 retroactive rent? See ya. Too much drama, too much program noncompliance, issue after issue. But Sally, who made an honest mistake, I really, Ms. Faison, I was involved in that car accident, and I hit my head, and I had suffered a concussion, selective amnesia. I totally forgot about this. I will repay the money. Not a problem. She can stay and pay. Now, do keep in mind, some people will do exactly what you want them to do. Enter into a repayment agreement, but guess what they do? They default. So then you have to make sure that your repayment agreements, you have written them so that they understand that as a result of default, there's consequences associated with that default. Okay, but again, that policy is your agency's policy. Okay, and notice that we tell you that your income discrepancies, you're not required to print that income discrepancy report tab. You're not required to view it. You're not required to maintain it in the tenant file. It's for information purposes only. All we want you to do is look at the EIV income report and determine whether or not there's a disparity, and if there is, resolve it with your client. Okay? So we're going to stop for today, and tomorrow we're going to pick up with the debts owed to PHAs and termination module. For those of you that are watching via webcast, I want to thank you for tuning in, and if you have questions regarding the content of today's training, you may direct those inquiries to PIH-RHIIP.TA@HUD.gov. For our live studio audience, I want to thank you for coming, and I'm going to see most of you again tomorrow as we pick up on part 2 of initial EIV system training. I hope that everyone here live and remotely has enjoyed the training session. I hope I haven't put anyone to sleep. So I want to thank you for your time, and make sure for those of you that are in the live studio audience, bring the big training material book back with you tomorrow, because we only have a limited number of copies. So if you're coming back with us tomorrow, make sure you bring those materials with you. Thank you. Have a good evening.